Hello, everyone. Welcome to Start the Week with Spencer. This is our weekly webinar here at Doman International, where we take questions from parents all around the world. My name is Spencer Doman. I'm the director of Doman International. And so on this webinar, we take questions about the Doman Method, children with special needs, early child development, parenting. I'm happy to take any questions that you have. So whether you're joining me on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, you can just type your questions into the comment section and I will get to them in order. Now, a couple of quick announcements before we get to the questions. So first of all, the Doman Method course and the Answering Autism course, which are our online courses, which are available at different times of the year for parents of children with special needs, are scheduled for the rest of 2024. So currently we have the Doman Method course available in English, Spanish, Italian, Russian, Serbian, and Arabic, so in 6 different languages. And the Answering Autism course is specifically available in English. So if you're interested in taking that course and beginning the Doman Method with your child and learning our foundational programs for brain development, then reach out to us, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Reach out to us, send us a message, and one of our representatives around the world will get in contact with you. As for the next couple of months at Doman International, just to tell you about our upcoming trips. So our clinic here in Philadelphia is basically always open and available for appointments for families. We are traveling to Miami, Florida next week to do appointments there. The next trips will be in September to Serbia and Croatia, in October to our European Center in Italy. In November, we'll be doing appointments in Moscow, Russia, and New Delhi, India. And in December, we will be in California doing appointments. Okay, so we are, if you're interested in appointments in any of those areas, please reach out to us as soon as possible, and we'll let you know if there are any available slots. Okay, let me jump into the first topic for today. So as you're watching, feel free to start writing your questions into the comments box. So today I wanted to talk about why it is that we sometimes now teach children images along with reading words as a part of their cognitive program. For parents who might have known about our program for some time, they're probably aware of our reading program. It's probably the most famous part of the Doman Method because it's been used by millions and millions of parents around the world. And they might be aware that when we teach children to read, it doesn't matter if the child has special needs or is neurotypical, we use large red print when teaching reading. The reason for this is first of all, large print is easy for children to see. And this is very important specifically for young children or children with special needs who might have poor and underdeveloped vision. The large print makes it easy for the child to see. You can also see that we use bold print. So it's, again, all for making it easier to see. We also use red because it happens to be a color which really catches the visual attention of children. And so when we use large, clear print, it makes it easy for children to learn how to read. Now, in addition to this, we have found that when we teach images along with reading words, it can often increase interest and the comprehension of the child. So just to show you what a session might look like, first, before even showing cards to the children, we'd introduce the category. So we'd say something like, all right, let's go and learn about fruit, okay? And then we'd go ahead with the teaching session. And we show the image first and then the reading word. So we'd say apple, apple. This is a banana, banana. Mango, mango. Plum, plum. So we have found that since we've started adding images, it often increases the interest of the young child and also their enthusiasm, right? They're more excited for the sessions. They're drawn to the color of the pictures. And so that's really good because anytime you can increase the interest and excitement of a young kid, they're going to learn more and faster. And then secondly, we found that it increases comprehension because especially if you're introducing words to the child that may not be words that they see on a regular basis, sometimes the child may not understand what that word means. Now, if we take that example of fruit, okay, maybe a child sees an apple frequently in their home, but maybe they don't see a mango or a plum often. And so using the images can grow the comprehension of the child. And when we do this across different categories, right? So here we have, for example, a category of different kinds of vehicles, right? So here you have the motorcycle and the motorcycle, right? So we can really increase a child's understanding with many different topics. Here we have a set of different animals, right? So it's a really great way to expand a child's knowledge, and especially for children with special needs who might have comprehension which is below age level, it's a great way to bring the information from the world into the home and help the child learn things that they wouldn't otherwise, or that it would take them much longer to learn if they didn't have this kind of stimulation. So these pictures and words are now available at domanlearning.com. There's something there called the Reading Before School course. And there are materials that come with that course. And now those pictures and reading words are available there. If you've already signed up for that course or you've bought our materials in the past, you don't have to pay any extra charge to get the pictures. They're there available for you. You just have to log back into your account and the images and the words will be there. So that was just a little class on why we have added images to the reading words with the Doman Learning program. And of course, as we move on with this webinar, I'm happy to take any questions about that. All right, so now I'm going to open up the webinar to questions from everyone. So whether you're joining me right now on Facebook or on YouTube or on Instagram, go ahead and start typing your questions in, and I'll get to them in order. And I always encourage parents, try to get your questions in early, because sometimes as we are wrapping up with this webinar, sometimes that's when all the questions come in, and unfortunately I can't get to all of them at the end of the session. Okay. Oh, one final thing, talking about the materials that I was just showing. Okay, so of course, if you're interested in learning how to apply the reading program with your child, you can sign up for the Reading Before School course, and in that course, we teach you how to use the materials. But if, for example, you've already taken the Doman Method course, or you've taken the Answering Autism course, and you know how to teach your child to read, your child with special needs to read, you don't have to sign up for the entire course. You can, on the Doman Learning website, you can just purchase the materials on their own. Okay, so for those of you who know what to do but just need the materials, they are there for you if you need them. Okay, I have a question here. What is the best book for me to start with to learn more about the program for my child? So for the program for children with special needs, okay, usually the first book that parents start with is the Doman Method from Special Needs to Wellness. Okay, so sorry, with the light here, it's kind of hard to say. Yeah, the Doman Method from Special Needs to Wellness. This is our foundational book for parents of kids with special needs. And it outlines the different mobility programs, speech programs, cognitive development programs, sensory programs that we would recommend for virtually any child with a developmental delay. And so this is usually the first book that parents will start with. Now, specifically for parents of children with an autism diagnosis, we do have our book Answering Autism, which is outlines again our foundational programs, but specifically for children with an autism or ADD diagnosis. So usually those are the first two books that parents will read: the Doman Method, From Special Needs to Wellness, or Answering Autism. Those are also the names of our online courses as well. Now, sometimes parents want to learn more after they've read those books. So we do have this book, the Doman Cookbook, which is a book that outlines our nutritional program. By the way, this book could be for both children with special needs or neurotypical kids, but it outlines 150 different recipes that you can make at home for your child that fit or follow the guidelines of the Doman nutrition program. And it also gives explanations about why we recommend eliminating certain foods for children with special needs. So the cookbook is a really good next step after reading the Doman Method or Answering Autism. All right, I've got a question here. This one's from Yuri. Yuri says, hello, happy to be here. I want to introduce Chinese. Is that language available? My son will be 6 in December. Would he be able to learn Chinese this way? He is currently learning with Spanish over 2 years and English over a year. So Yuri, right now at domanlearning.com, we don't have Spanish materials. We do have we don't have Chinese materials. We have, I think, 10 different languages available, but I don't believe Chinese is one of them. And by the way, the languages that are available on our site are available either because there are a large number of families that speak that language who wanted the materials, or in some cases it's because someone kind volunteered their time to translate the materials. So unfortunately, we do not have Chinese yet. But absolutely, you could use materials to teach your child a foreign language. Interestingly, I didn't mention this before when I was talking about the adding of pictures to the materials. But one of the great things about adding pictures to materials is it happens to be a very effective way of teaching a foreign language. If I use another language as an example, like Italian, for example, right? I could show images in that language, especially if my child doesn't speak Italian, and also the written words in that language, right? So, for example, if we take, I'm going to move back to apple, for example, right? So in Italian, the word for apple is mela, right? So I could show the picture of an apple, but say mela to the child, and then show the written word mela, right? So using images is a really great way to expand a child's vocabulary in another language. So you could do that in Chinese or in any other language. I recommend to parents first to start with the languages that they know or that they have some understanding in, because they're going to be able to do the program with a lot more confidence and ease if they do that. And then they can start expanding into other languages that they don't speak. I hope that helps, Yuri. All right, let's see. Do we have any other questions? All right, Colleen, do you mind if I bring you in? Hi, Colleen.
Hi, I'm not driving. Don't worry.
So everyone, Colleen Hudson is our Director of Representatives. And so, Colleen, I was actually wondering, when you speak to new parents who are kind of learning about the Doman Method for the first time, are there specific parts of the program that they are especially concerned about or that they want more information about?
So yes to both. I guess the thing that most parents are the most concerned about when they hear about all of the components of the Doman Method the thing that most of them get a little nervous about is the nutrition program.
Uh-huh.
How to implement it, how much is it going to cover? Because of course, for many of the children who we see, food is a real issue, and they're having, they've already had complications with that. So, and parents are well aware of the fact that nutrition is important for their kids, but they get nervous about what is the Doman Method nutrition program encompass, and how are they going to do it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I see that with many parents when they come to our course, when they come to their first appointment, that they have this very challenging combination of knowing how important nutrition is, like you said, but a concern about, can I motivate my child, or will my child allow me to make certain healthy changes in their diet? And there are a couple of important thoughts that I'd like to share. So the first one is, nutrition is really important, and it absolutely has an impact on how the brain develops. Outside of the brain, there are billions of different neurons, right? Brain cells that are located around our body that send information to the brain. And the largest number outside of the brain are in our gut, in our digestive tract. There are 500 million neurons in our gut. And so the digestive tract and the brain are constantly communicating with one another. That even long before this neuroscience was understood, that's why, for example, people would say, hundreds or maybe even thousands of years ago, I'm going to make this decision with my gut, or I made this decision with my gut, because there's been this kind of human understanding that there's something about the gut that has to do with thinking, and there's a connection between the gut and brain. And so nutrition is very important. And so that's point number one. Point number two is that there's no one size fits all approach when it comes to nutrition. And some children need what might be called a revolution approach. And sometimes that has to happen, where with a child, we have to say, okay, these specific foods are going to come out of the diet now, and we're going to replace them with these foods. That happens. But with many more children, we take an evolution approach, where we say, okay, what is one change we could make this month that would be the most beneficial for this child? And I think a lot of parents fear with the Doman nutrition program that we're just going to tell the parents, take out all these foods and figure it out. And that's not the way it works, because a child needs to eat, and they need to get their daily caloric intake, and also, just as important as taking out problematic foods is adding variety into a child's diet. And so what we do with parents is we coach them on what foods to take out, but how to replace them. What are cooking techniques that make food tasty so that the child will be open to trying new foods? And how can you do this in a step-by-step approach? And so I understand that some people are kind of fearful. We take kind of like a machine gun approach, where we just say, do it this way and figure it out, or it's your problem, And but that's not the way kids work. Kids are, like all humans, are unique. And so each child, needs their own nutrition program. And so, when families come to Doman International for their first appointment, parents' own understanding of nutrition can greatly vary. Some parents have been working on their child's nutrition for years, and other parents are just coming to the understanding for the first time that their kid's going to probably need some nutritional changes. And so the great thing is, because our coaches have many, many years of experience working with different kinds of parents, with the parents who have been working on it for years, we can guide them on the next steps. But for the parents who are taking those first steps, it's usually just a matter of, what are the few but very important changes that we can make this time, and how can we help you make them?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because a lot of parents tell me, oh, I've read about this restrictive diet or that restrictive diet, and oh, it's so good for kids with autism, and telling them that, there really isn't one size fits all. And our staff are going to help you to figure out what the right fit for your family is. And they're not going to say, okay, cut out all of this, that, and the other thing, and good luck.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. And then the other part of it, when families come to Doman International, either coming to one of our clinics or doing a remote appointment where their child gets assessed and they have a program customized, the nutrition program is more than just diet. Of course, diet is a part of that, but there's also we review lab tests for the child, and we recommend certain supplements that the kid might need. Very often, children with special needs do need some supplementation. They might need certain vitamins to enhance their immune system, or they might need certain supplements to help with digestion, which is a common problem for the kids that we know. Or there are certain supplements that might be provide certain biochemicals that the brain needs to function at its best. And so along with looking at diet, we also look at necessary supplements for each kid.
Yeah, that's really helpful to hear. It's what I tell families, but it's always good to hear it again and again, because it's such a big, we all have to eat every day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. So Colleen, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that in the best way?
So they can always send a direct message to our Instagram, because I see all of those. Or if for some reason I didn't see it, one of the other staff would forward it to me. So that's a quick way if you're on Instagram or on Facebook and you just want to send us a direct message. Also, you can email me. My email is info, INFO, @domaninternational.org. I get a lot of direct emails from these sessions, which is great. And then my phone number is 1 for USA, 814-232-8668. And you can send me a WhatsApp message or just call me or text me, whatever works best for you.
Thank you, Colleen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I see another question here from Yuri, who says, about the math book, I'm a little bit confused. Can you give us more insight about the math program? He is going to be 6. Is it okay to try the program? So, Yuri, about the math program. So, what we teach, to parents specifically about how to teach a child math, is that the most important mathematical ability that a child can have is something called innate number sense. Innate number sense is the ability for a child to look at a small quantity and instantaneously know what that quantity is, right? So for example, if I hold up a certain number of fingers for you like this, your brain instantaneously knows that's 4, right? That's innate number sense. You know that's 4. You don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Because you have number sense, you recognize that as 4. This is the most foundational mathematical ability that exists. And because it's the most foundational ability, if a child or adult does not have it, they will have greater challenges in learning math as they get older and older. This has been demonstrated with a lot of research. The best research has come out of Harvard and Johns Hopkins, which has shown that even at the age of 14, so we're talking about children in 9th grade, so 14, 15-year-olds, that the children that perform worst in math tests are children with weak innate number sense. And we have found when we strengthen this quantity recognition ability, this ability to know this is 3, and this is 5, and this is 4, if we strengthen that foundational ability, it allows us to then build quickly on the child's mathematical understanding. If they don't have that foundational ability, they tend to struggle with math. And this is especially the case with children with learning challenges and special needs. They tend to almost always need to count things one by one. And Counting, it's funny. Counting is one of the most commonly worked on skills for young children, right? We want them to learn 1, 2, 3, 4, and counting is important. But if a child only knows how to count, but they can't recognize small quantities visually, good luck learning higher math. Imagine for a second, if you don't understand this is 3 and you don't understand this is 2, how could you possibly understand that 3 and 2 together make 5? And yet that's constantly what we're asking kids with math challenges to learn. So the first step is we strengthen innate number sense. Now, for young children, typically children under 2.5, we do that using dot cards, which are the cards that my grandfather teaches how to use in the book, How to Teach Your Baby Math. For children over 2.5, we now, and this is not in my grandfather's book, this is something that we've added over the last 10 years or so. For kids over 2.5 years of age, we teach quantities using objects. My favorite object to use are poker chips because they're easy to use, they're easy to, they're lightweight, and you can also get them uniform, right? We don't want to, if we're trying to teach a child this is the quantity 4, and we put down 4 poker chips in front of the child, we don't want to have different colors or shapes or sizes because we don't want the child focused on that. We just want them focused on the quantity. And so this approach, Yuri, is not talked about in my grandfather's book because it's something that we've really added in the last 10 years since his passing. So if you wanted to learn about that advanced math program for a child, for example, of 6 years of age, the best way to do it would be one of 2 ways. And it really depends if a child has if a child is a well neurotypical kid or if the child has special needs. If a child is a well neurotypical 6-year-old and you just want to teach them math, the Math Before School course is called on Doman Learning, right? It's called Math Before School, Teaching Your Child Math Before the Age of 6. That's available at domanlearning.com. I recommend signing up for that course. It's called the Math Before School course, and enroll your child. You'll learn everything that you need to know, and you'll get the materials that you can print and use at home. I'd recommend that. For a parent with a child with special needs, I would recommend reaching out to Doman International, because for children with special needs, usually it's about more than just doing a math program. Sure, if we teach a child math in the way that they'll learn best, we can greatly enhance their math understanding. But usually, since their brain development has not been normal, other programs need to be added to help improve brain development and organization, which will then make mathematical understanding better and easier for them. Right? Their challenges with learning math are a symptom of their neurological issue, which can be resolved or greatly helped with a program of neurological development with the Doman Method. So yeah, for a parent with a child with special needs, I wouldn't say just sign up for the Math Before School course. I'd say, okay, contact Doman International, learn more about the program, find out the other programs that we have that could help the child in addition to math, and then we can help guide them with that math program. Okay. Yuri says, okay, thanks. I will look for the course. Fantastic. All right. Oh yeah, Yuri follows up by saying he knows little quantities 1 through 6 with the dots, but not with other objects. He will start counting 1 by 1. He is going to school now. After the dots, I don't understand how to keep teaching him. Okay. All right. So yeah, Yuri, fantastic. Yeah, please look into the course. I think you'll find it to be helpful. All right. Let's see, does anyone else have any questions? I've got about 10 more minutes. I see we haven't gotten any questions from Instagram yet, which is very unlike Instagram. That's usually where we get most of the questions. All right. I don't see any questions coming in yet. Colleen, you're muted. I'm going to add you to the stage. Hi.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
No, it's okay.
I don't
I'm
know how
glad you waved because you were muted, and I
Oh, okay.
I was like, okay, Colleen's trying to get my attention.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
There actually is a question on Instagram
Oh,
from Denise Borja asking,
okay.
at what age can a child start the Doman Method program? I have a 6-month-old with special needs and was wondering if it was too young.
Okay. Yeah, good question. So, no, 6 months is definitely not too young. In fact, I'd say it's the ideal age to get started. Interestingly, so right now, we're running the Doman Method course online and the Answering Autism course. And we actually have parents where mom is pregnant and expecting, and because of prenatal testing knows that her child's going to have certain challenges, and so she's taking the course now for when the baby is born. So there's definitely, it's never too soon. And in fact, the earlier you can begin, the better, because the first 6 years of life are the most important years of brain growth and development. Now, the brain continues to develop, and neuroplasticity actually exists throughout our lifetimes, but the earlier you can begin, the better. And so absolutely, yeah, 6-month-old is a great time to get started.
Yeah, I suggest, Denise, that you get in touch with me. I don't recognize your name, and I will send you a direct message, but we can talk about our programs, even our books. Get started by reading a book, but our course that's coming up in November might be a really good fit for you.
Thanks, Colleen. And Colleen, if any other questions pop up on Instagram, because I didn't see that one, just feel free to shout them out.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Denise. I see your response. She said, thanks. I looked into your books in the past months, and we'll look into the courses. Terrific.
Perfect.
We're here.
Okay. Colleen, I wasn't able to post your phone number before. Are you able to write in the comments box?
Yeah.
Or if you want to give it again, I can
Oh, okay,
it.
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
It's 814
232 8668.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, and I will share that. Okay, everyone, there's Colleen's number. Thanks, Colleen.
You bet.
Okay, so Sandra says, hi, Spencer. What would you recommend to improve writing, cursive? Currently, he writes in print, but he needs to do it in cursive because school suggests it. Sandra, it's an interesting question because I'm guessing you don't live in the U.S. because cursive has been taken out of most of American education, as far as I understand. It's Sandra, it's a good question because it's one I rarely get, because most of the time the children that we are working with, we're really working on teaching them how to write for the first time. And when teaching a child to write for the first time, print is usually the way we begin, by teaching how to print and then teaching typing as well. In terms of specific cursive instruction, again, because it's not something that we usually have to work with, it's not something I have a lot of experience with. So if you give me, Sandra, maybe give me a week or two and join another class, and I'll hopefully have join another webinar, and hopefully I'll have some more thoughts on cursive. But it's a very good question. Okay, I'm going to guess by your question, Sandra, that he is not in school yet, and you want to prepare him for school. You can clarify that for me in your next comment. Okay, the next question here comes from Tracy. Tracy says, how long after starting the Doman course and implementing the method can we expect to start seeing changes in our kids with speech, better sleep, and coordination? Okay, Tracy, very good question. It's a difficult one for me to answer because it is so child dependent. There are a lot of things that could alter how soon changes are seen. First of all, things like how consistent the program is when it started, or how intensively parents are able to begin the program. Those things obviously make a big difference because the more consistent you can be with the program, or the more quickly you're able to increase the number of sessions of each program, those things are going to alter how quickly the results come. Now, for certain children, results can be seen very quickly. I've seen families who, by the end of the course, are already reporting back changes that they are seeing in their children that they implemented during the actual course. The course is 5 weeks long, and it is not uncommon for a family to get back to us and say, hey, we started the inclined floor program and we're starting to see our child crawl for the first time in their lives, right? Or I started showing my child reading words and he started to recognize them and I heard him start to say words. Like we hear things like that virtually at every course. So it's not unusual to see changes within weeks. That being said, I generally tell parents, look, when you begin the program, in the beginning, you really want to be just focused on getting started and consistency. And I would say really focus on doing the program as planned for about 3 months, because usually within 3 months, parents will start to see obvious changes. Now, like I said, some parents are much faster than that, but I usually say 3 months because it is important that parents prepare themselves for months of doing the program in order to see results, because you don't want to start the program and after a week or two, if you don't see anything obvious, give up. Now, I'm not saying that you would, but it is important to kind of prepare yourself. Okay, we've got our program plan. After the course, you will have a plan that you and your staff coach agree on together. And I would say, okay, let's focus on doing this for 3 months. Let's see how it goes. And then let's also stay in close contact with our staff coach and make sure that we are keeping them informed. We're implementing changes that they recommend, because one of the most important things for getting good results with the program is remaining in close contact with your staff coach who can guide you through the process. Because any issues or problems that you face, that Doman Method coach has probably seen 100 times before. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. So they can help you navigate those barriers and obstacles you're going to face along your journey. And that will really help quickly multiply the results that you get with the program. I hope you find that helpful. Sandra says, I'm from Peru and I've taken the Doman Method course and it's totally recommended. It's amazing. Thank you, Sandra. I appreciate that. All right. Glad that was helpful. Okay. Let's see. We've got another question here from Tracy. How do we get the child to do the monkey bars? My son shows interest for 5 seconds, holds for a few seconds once, and then refuses to do it again until the next day. Okay, Tracy. So in terms of teaching a child brachiation, you've gotten started in the sense that you are doing the right thing. You're having him hang from a dowel. Now, there are specific recommendations, Tracy. Things like when you're teaching a child to hang from the dowel, and by the way, for others who are watching this who don't know what I'm talking about, one of the Doman Method programs that we do for improving fine motor skills, for example, and vision and breathing is something called brachiation, right? Many people know it as monkey bars, where a child learns to swing from one bar to the next. And every time they grasp the bar, they're developing their fine motor skills and their pincer grasp through the grasping of the bars. It's also very good for developing vision because the child has to look at the bar as they grab the next one, right? And when the child has to do that many, many times, it greatly improves vision and manual skills and hand-eye coordination. So the way you begin this process, as Tracy is asking, is having a child hang, right, from a dowel with their feet off the ground. And so, Tracy, there are a few kind of important tricks tricks of the trade, let's say, best practices that can help ensure this to be as successful as possible. First of all, when you put your child up to hang, you should always be facing them. They should see your face. Because if they see your face and you're smiling and you're relaxed, the child feels a lot more comfortable doing it. They're looking at mom or dad and they know, okay, I'm fine up here. If I let go, mom and dad are going to catch me. I'm safe. That's very, very important. The second thing is you really should put at least 10 minutes between every hanging session. When a child hangs from a dowel or does brachiation, it is tiring on the skin of the hands. And so children need about 10 minutes to let the muscles of their hands relax and rest before you do the next session. And plus, like you said, he's enjoying it the first time of the day, and then later on he doesn't want to do it. So if you put some gap of time, he'll be likely more interested to do the next session. The next thing that I would do is when you put him up, count down rather than counting up. So don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd recommend putting him up and saying like 3, 2, 1, 0, and then at 0, bringing him down. The reason why you count down is he'll learn that every time you get to 0, you'll take him down. That's very important because think about this from a child standpoint. The child is put up to hang, right? And they're holding on. But the child has no idea how long parents plan for them to hang for. And that could be scary. How long am I going to have to be up here for? So when you count down 3, 2, 1, 0, and the child knows when mom gets to 0, they're going to take me down, the child feels more relaxed and happy during the session. So I would recommend, one of the most important things, Tracy, with this program, and in fact, any activity you're doing with your child, you want to finish the activity, end off, before your child wants to stop. So for example, if your child can hang for 5 seconds, put them up for 3 seconds and then take him down. Like go 3, 2, 1, 0, take him down. And some kids are like, no, I want to keep hanging. But it's actually better to go, oh, all done. Because then the child learns, oh man, like mom never lets me hang as long as I want to. That's much better than the opposite of, oh, why does mom put me up here? It's so tiring and difficult. So bring your child down after 3 seconds, even if they can do 5. And then what you're going to start doing is start building up that time. So maybe one day you're doing 3 seconds, but the next day you do 4, and the next day you do 5. You keep it relatively easy and joyful for the child, and you build it up from there. I hope that's helpful, Tracy. All right. Colleen, I don't see any other questions on Instagram. Do you see any?
No. Well, Annabella says hi.
Got it. Hi, Annabella.
Annabella says hi. We have not forgotten you. She's asking, I could recommend a place to buy a ladder for brachiation. Ours is small.
Okay. Annabella, if
you're asking whether to buy one or...
Yeah, I think so. So Annabella, there's a company called Moby Them, which is a Spanish company that produces brachiation ladders. So that is one option for you. If you wanted to have one, and they have different sizes, and that you could find for your home. And Annabella, I know that we're seeing you, next week, for an appointment in the clinic. So we can give you more information on the Moby Them website then. Okay, great. Colleen, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, just keep attending our session. Oh well, we won't be able to have a session next week. But in the meantime, keep your questions coming through, again, through our direct messages or emails. We always get back to people quickly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we won't be doing this webinar next Monday, because interestingly, I'm doing a Spanish webinar instead. We will be back the following week on Monday, August 26th, doing a session then.
if you speak Spanish and want to come to the Spanish webinar, direct message us and we'll get you the link.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, if you speak Spanish, feel free to, because I know we have a few Spanish speakers on this webinar, feel free to share that link with other parents of children with special needs who are interested in learning more. Jennifer's asking, how long should my child hang before moving to the ladder? And how do you encourage movement from one bar to the next? So Jennifer, typically a minimum of 30 seconds. A child should be able to hang for 30 seconds before we move to the brachiation ladder. Now, some children, we will even work up to a minute, but 30 seconds is kind of the minimum. How do you encourage movement from one bar to the next? Well, you usually, there are a couple of things. And by the way, everyone, the instructions of how to do brachiation can also be found in the book, Fit Baby, Smart Baby, Your Baby. In Spanish, it's Bebé en Forma, Bebé Inteligente. There's a lot of instructions about brachiation in that book. But basically, in terms of teaching swinging, Jennifer, the best way to do it is, instead of having a child start on the ladder with their hands on the same dowel, you have the child grasp one dowel, which is ahead, and another one, which is behind, like this. And that's important because if they start like this, it begins the natural process of them swinging to the next ladder and that to the next dowel. So yeah, beginning with hands on different rungs is very important. And then usually in the beginning, an adult has to help the child release with the back hand, so they learn to go and grab the next dowel, and then help them release with the back hand and go to the next dowel. But to be honest with you, kids learn these things very quickly. And after you've done that with them a few times, they get the idea. They're like, okay, I let go to the next rung. And the last tip, Jennifer, is swinging is really important, right? Because if a child has hands on different rungs, if they swing to grab the next rung, it'll make it much easier for them. If a child doesn't swing, then they're kind of like using their muscles to go from one dowel to the next. It makes it much harder. But once you swing, it makes it very, very easy. Hope that's helpful.
Spencer, we do have one last question in the Instagram about reading, the reading
Sure.
program. Is it okay if, this is from Iman Safar, is it okay if I keep two groups of couplets in the reading program, each one 3 cards, each group 3 days?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I was just speaking to a family today who they were, they had read in the books that they should do 5 days for categories. And they said after 3 days, my child gets bored. And that's very typical. So absolutely 3 days showing a category is absolutely fine. You ask about, can you do 3 cards in a category? Absolutely. I mean, generally we say five cards per category, but for some children, those sessions, even doing 5 cards is a little too long a session. So 3 cards is better. And 2 groups in a day is a very good amount. Absolutely. Great. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for joining. As we said, we're not doing a webinar next Monday, but we will be doing it on August 26th, so you can join then. But until then, feel free to send us any messages through our social media on Facebook or Instagram, or you can also, if you go to our website, domaninternational.org, there's a contact form there. You could fill out that contact form, and one of our representatives from your region of the world will get in contact with you. Colleen, anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, that's everything. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.